gorgeous palm trees. What's going on, everybody? Mr. Thrasher here at North Evergreen Cemetery in East LA. Used in many films. Just giving you a quick little cemetery tour today. I always wanted to do a video and just talk about the multiple films filmed here. There's a scene here from the film Mask. This is actually where Rocky Dennis would have been buried, right here. You see shots of both these trees, more notably this one, during Rocky's funeral. There's actually a ledge right here where Rocky was sitting in the film. He's sitting right in front of this tree after his buddy's funeral earlier on. And his buddy would have been buried over there. Many notable films filmed here in this cemetery. Funeral scenes from A Nightmare on Elm Street 1, 3, and 4. It's just a crazy cemetery. Look at this monument over here. Slankershim Van Nuys monument. That thing is big. Crazy. Clip here from the film Mausoleum. Also filmed in this cemetery right here. Pretty cool. This film's pretty wacky. It's a good film though. It's a good watch. You move up the way here, you'll see another scene from Mask over here. Cher was filming in this cemetery. This is actually the background to the old guy's funeral earlier on in the film. You can see this gate and everything in that scene. That's pretty cool. This must be recognizable to you, especially if you watched my other filming location videos. This is where Nancy was sitting on the steps in the original Elm Street film. This whole area was actually used in the original Elm Street film. Look at these beautiful palm trees. This Coulter stone, Coulter McReynolds, was in Elm Street. Her mom's car was parked here before they pulled away. And you can see that in that shot. That's a famous stone because of Elm Street. Here's where Nancy was sitting on the steps. Steps that have just been painted. They waited 40 years to take care of the water damage that you see in A Nightmare on Elm Street. You can see it in my first A Nightmare on Elm Street filming locations video. Show this monument that you see in the shot along with this row of palm trees by John Saxon after he's finishing a cigarette at the end of Rod Lane's funeral before he approaches Nancy and her mom. So you see this monument right by him in the film. Stern monument. David A. Stern. Born on Christmas 1824. Died September 18th, 1889. So, wow, this is an ancient stone. Featured in A Nightmare on Elm Street 1. That row of palm trees, over 40 years later, still the same. Still right here, John Saxon approaching Nancy and her mother after Rod Lane's funeral. All those palm trees that look very similar still today. There's one's over his left shoulder, and over his right shoulder is that palm tree and that really tall stone there.
Time to go, honey.
Quick walk around this funeral parlor. This thing has not been touched up since it was used for filming. This was in A Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 3. Just wanted to come here, show a few things. This place is humongous. And in the summertime, it gets hotter than hell out here. So be aware if you come. Also, usually in midsummer, the grass is like singed. It's burned. It gets hot in East LA. Look at this place, not been touched up since way before the filming of any of the Elm Street films. And straight ahead is where they had the funerals for Elm Street 3. You can see that stuff matched up in my A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 filming locations video. Man, this thing is awesome. Definitely don't ever want them to fix up this building like they've just done with the front steps. I mean, all they did was paint the rails and the steps, but still. It looked the way it did for 40 straight years. And the water damage was there then when that film was filmed in '84, so. This building's crazy. Serious Elm Street vibes. Mausoleum actually used a huge portion of the cemetery, including this place here, which was in Elm Street 3 as well. Right over here is where they had all the funerals for Elm Street 3. You can really notice that monument. So like I said, I pointed out my Elm Street 3 filming locations. Just some wild monuments in here. You notice that ball monument there in Elm Street 3. This was really like the background in Elm Street 3. They filmed all of Neil's scenes over by this very notorious Elm Street 3 tree straight ahead, which always seems to be dead. I've been here in the summer and I've been here in the winter, and that tree is always dead. But this monument here, seen very clearly in Elm Street 3. Approaching that Elm Street 3 tree. Pretty cool. As I've mentioned in other videos, you gotta trim around some of these stones. Oh dear, I didn't even notice that was a stone. Jeez. Lizzie. So this is the Elm Street 3 tree. Neil was standing under a branch, which would have been right here. It was a very notorious branch, and they just cut it off in the past couple years, which is very unfortunate. But he's standing beneath this branch for the funeral. First time you see it in Elm Street 3, standing right beneath the branch here, facing this direction, and that's kind of the shot you get from his POV. Really cool cross monuments here. Love this cemetery. Love it. I'm always drawn to the spots that were used in films more. And I wish I could take you around every single path here, but this place, like I said, is expansive. It's huge. It goes all the way back there, all the way back there. This is more or less the front of the cemetery, but like, it's huge. I would love to go and look at every single stone, but many of these stones over here are seen in Elm Street 3, as well as oh yeah, that red roof. You see that red roof way in the distance there? You can actually see that in some of the shots when Neil's talking to Kruger in Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors.
This is the place for supper. What faith do you follow?
A tie-in is that they also had Rod Lane's funeral down that way from A Nightmare on Elm Street 1. And this is the tree Neil was standing under when he talks to Amanda Kruger for the first time. Of course, when he's talking to Amanda, he's then facing this direction. And she's kind of this way where Jesse is. You see all this in the background. But a funny Rod Lane tie-in is when Neil comes around the corner here and he first sees Amanda Kruger's imaginary grave, it was right here. And the actor that played Rod Lane had to return here to do a scene for Candyman 3. And it was in the exact same spot as Amanda Kruger's imaginary grave. So he filmed here for A Nightmare on Elm Street 1 over there, and then for Candyman 3 in the same spot from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Weird, huh? But they had that imaginary grave set up here as well, in this general vicinity. There is like a huge variety of Asian stones here. So I can't read them. So I can't read that. Wish I could, but I can't read that. There are a ton of them. None of these were here when they filmed any of the movies that I'm speaking of. Some absolutely wild monuments though. The palm trees are gorgeous here. Look at this. This can be seen slightly in A Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Mortality for immortality. This is pretty cool. This old book, stone book. Wow, it's very old stones here. 1916. This person died 1887, 1862. The cops. LA. Cool. Cross monument here. Reverend Hack. Reverend Hack. Beautiful cemetery. Beautiful cemetery. Some of these stones are really old. Like I said, 1800s. Oh, this one's pretty cool. A deck of cards here. It's his hand. Beloved son, Keith. He enjoyed life, food, film, fishing, and firearms. He always was, and will always be a great friend. Ah, some really, really old monuments too. Just a pleasant day for a stroll in this cemetery. Because as I mentioned, it gets hot as hell in the summertime. Someone's up to no good. I'm hearing cops in the distance for a while. The palm trees here, breathtaking. Taking my breath. Man, this place is huge. Definitely feeling the vibes. So that tree there, from A Nightmare on Elm Street, he was giving the funeral right here. This guy was conducting the funeral. Casket would have been right about here. And they're all sitting over here. Quick clip that you get as the camera passes by the funeral right here. You see the guy conducting the funeral, the casket, that cross stone, and these other stones just once. They're all gathered here. Rod's casket would have been here. Get a closer look at this tree. The guy giving the funeral would have been out here. Wow. Tree's grown up quite a bit, but you can still tell that's the tree. Shot of Rod Lane's funeral in the film. There's that cross stone right there, and his casket right here. So it's hard to tell from this angle, but it is just to the left of these trees. Back of that stone, and that really creepy monument right here. You also notice the tree behind this tree, and you can actually make out some of those stones over there as well. So both these trees were in the film. Right here, I'm standing right where the casket would have been right here. Funeral took place over here, and now if we walk up the path, just up this way, we'll go to the next spot they used here at North Evergreen Cemetery for A Nightmare on Elm Street. These palm trees are breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking. Over here by the infamous Elm Street 3 tree, used to be a really notable limb here which has been cut down. That really sucks, but this is where Neil was standing in A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 when he first talks to Freddy's mom. So he finds her imaginary grave over here. Right in this vicinity right here. Yes, the infamous Elm Street 3 tree. They filmed for A Nightmare on Elm Street 1, 3, and 4 here. But evidently, that Rod Lane tie-in. Just figured I'd point that out. Another shot here where Rocky would have been sitting after his friend's funeral. It's a sad part of the movie. It's not an easy movie to watch. And if you haven't seen it in a long time, you should go back and check it out. But Rocky's sitting on the ledge right here. Pretty cool. Would have had Cher here for filming. So even Cher filmed in North Evergreen Cemetery. Very historical cemetery. Once again, that's where Rocky was sitting. Wow, this is quite the monument here. It's Robinson Monument. Angel writing in a book. Parsons. Randy? Randy Parsons? Randomly Randy Parsons? That means the randomly Randy I was talking to was his ghost. Another look at those palm trees seen behind John Saxon in the original Elm Street film, 1984. That was a big McClure stone here. Wild. Pretty cool. Okay, gonna cap this off here. It's a really cool Sutherland Angel monument here. Thanks again, everybody. Please like, please subscribe. If you're new here, subscribe and let you know when a new episode goes up. You never know what you may be missing here. Mr. Thrasher Show. Shit. Keeping it, Mr. Thrasher Show. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone flubs lines. We're gonna end here, back at the crazy looking funeral parlor here. It is kind of a funeral parlor. I mean, they have funerals in there. One time I was here, and there was a hearse. See that by Elm Street 3 video. Okay. Thanks again, everybody. We will see you soon.